We're hearing from the owners of a dentist's office in Ocala after a drunk driver crashed into their building. TV 20's Taylor Simpson tells us why they say they're thankful this didn't happen during the daytime.
As you can see behind me, the walls are all boarded up. This is after a drunk driver drove right through it. Just after midnight on Monday, surveillance video captures a white Chevy Equinox crashing into Healthy Smiles Dentistry.
I thought it was the alarm because all the time the alarm goes off. And I said, well, it's the alarm. He said, no, man, you have to come here. Something happened to your building.
Before the truck ran into the building, the driver hit another vehicle, but no one was hurt.
The whole street was blocked with cars. And it was scary. When I started coming close to the place, I was, oh my gosh.
When officers arrived, the driver, 22-year-old Gabriel Halsey, ran away. Police chased him down and detained him. Officers say he bought alcohol from a bar an hour and a half before the crash.
I can't imagine being with the patient, and especially we work with kids. You know, we see kids as young as 4 years old, so having that happen during working hours, just, I can't imagine.
Very scary.
The Rick say city engineers checked out the building and believed it was still good to work in. That's when they jumped into action to get the place ready for business, knowing they had patients to help.
We were able to clear up, board out the two operatories that were mainly hit by the event, and we're kind of using some spare rooms that we have available.
Healthy Smiles is still operating, and there's no timetable on when the building will be fixed. Halsey was arrested for DUI with property damage after a breathalyzer test shows he was almost 2 times above the legal limit. In Ocala, Taylor Simpson, TV 20 News.
A Marion County truck